Hello. We're here with the Reflections, Mind, Body, and Soul. Thank you for joining us today. And we first want to give thanks to the Creator for allowing us to be here today. So we're very thrilled that we're here. And our topic for today deals with especially our Black men. And it deals with the rap industry and what is taking place in the rap industry with our young Black men. So before I go any further into that, I would like for you, if you would, to join us in a silent prayer. We've just, as of today, lost Mo 3 out of Dallas, Texas, and we would just like to say a silent prayer at this time. Thank you so very much. Now, according to the statistics that I've been given, just for the year 2020, it has been a difficult year. I don't need to go into what we're all experiencing, the hardships, the changes, and so forth. But there is an element that is taking place in our community that we have not really talked much about. We've talked about Black Lives Matter. And of course they do. And we don't want to give the perception that all lives don't matter. All lives matter. All lives matter. But in the rap industry, which is very popular, as you know, it has taken a great hit in the year 2020. First of all, we had just recently, we had one of the rappers out of Atlanta. I'm sure that you know about that incident. And I'm going to be interviewing today one of our local rappers. And he's going to help us with some information to better understand what is taking place in the rap industry. And so I will be speaking with Rasheed today, who is my guest out of Houston. And he's been in the business for a long time. And if I'm not mistaken, Rasheed, you've got a
platinum.
He's got a platinum, and that says a whole lot in this industry. So, you know, we're very fortunate and grateful to have him to share with us on the show today.
No problem.
So Rasheed, one of the concerns that I have for the community as a Black woman, as a mother, as a citizen concerned about Black men is I'm looking at the incident that took place not so long ago in Atlanta with King Von's death. And, well, I say King Von's death, but actually King Von's murder. And as I understand it, King Von was only 26 years old. 26 years old. That is a very young man who, from what I understand, was very influential in the rap business. And a lot of people were saddened at this murder. He was signed to Quan Dorodo.
Lil Durk, King Von. Quando Rondo. Quando Rondo was the guy that he got into the incident with.
Okay, so he was signed to Lil Durk.
Yes.
Now, Lil Durk is 28 years old. Okay. Lil Durk, 28 years old, was a best friend of King Von's. And now Quan Dorodo.
Quando Rondo.
Quando Rondo. I'm not gonna get that wrong on it.
It's okay.
Quando Rondo. Quando Rondo, from what I understand, basically had a beef.
Yes.
With King Von, and the beef that they had resulted in his death. Now I want you, if you will, to briefly kind of give me some background on information on that. But before you do, I would like to emphasize also that yes, that was a hard hit, but to date, here for 2020, we also had, just here in the city of Houston, Texas, we had 3 young rappers, up-and-coming rappers that were killed, that were murdered at Dee Dee's Sky Club. 3 at one time, and I understand that someone came in and 2 people came in and shot these 3 young men up. And I would just like to at least call their names today. We had a Jalen Bernard, 19 years old, such potential as a young man. We had Bryce Goodard, 21 years old. Christopher Jordan, 22 years old. These young men were in the prime of their lives and were killed as up-and-coming artists by, as I understand it, members of the black community. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, everything is allegedly, but according to the reports, they are black African American. According to the reports.
This saddens me. This is very sad. Either one of those young men could have possibly been my son, my grandson. So I certainly have concern. I need to know. We need to know. We the people need to know what is going on. How would you describe what's taking place, what we need to do so that 10 years from now, we do not have the same narrative that we have today? Are there agencies out there, old school, mature rappers that have agencies that can assist or be guardians to these rappers that are coming up? What can we do? What say you, Rasheed?
Well, first off, it is a tough situation. It's a rough situation. It's a lot of ways to go at it. It's a lot of ways to look at it. I mean, you can look at it take it from the home perspective, where they come from, or take it from where they are at now and what they had to deal with. Because, as minorities, we all come up in rough environments. We all got problems. We all got situations, And so we're just going to go from, people that don't rap or artists to the artists. Okay, so we got a lot of artists out here. Everybody have their own mind. Everybody have egos. Everybody think their own way. You know what I mean? Some people not happy on some days, some people not happy on these days. So your question was, is there any assistance or anything like that? Basically, you know, I can't just sit here and just be like, okay, well, yeah, you can go to this club or this club, but there are programs out there for people, you know, to talk to people to kind of, you know, help them mental. You know what I mean?
But let me understand, you said something with regard to the background that these rappers come from. So are you saying that all of the rappers come from a similar type background?
Most of them do. Most of them do. And if you look at an example of King Von was he was with a gang allegedly out of Chicago, which I follow a lot of King Von. So everything I'm saying, you know, is allegedly because I respect the communities, you know what I'm saying, you know, and, you know, people, you know, don't too much, you know, like you to speak on something if you're not involved in it. But I know from what I see. And so King Von, you know, he was a gangbanger, very talented, but he came from a gangbanging background. Mm-hmm. So that is what he lived by. You understand? So even with Lil Durk, which I don't know none of these guys, but you know, if Lil Durk is his mentor per se or whatever, then as far as I'm concerned, those are the guys that need to be there, not necessarily physically, but direct them to guide them so that they won't make bad decisions and bad mistakes.
Okay, but Lil Durk, as I understand it, is what, 28 years old?
Yeah, well, see, Lil Durk is also facing a shooting charge too right now. Lil Durk is right now going to court too for, you know, what could have been the same thing happened, you know, to the victim, or, you know, not saying that he did, I'm just saying allegedly. So, you know, we doing the same thing that we was doing once we become in the industry that we was doing when we was in the streets. And, you know, King Von, he was the real deal. You know what I mean? Like, he was the real deal. Like, what he talked about, that's what he did. He talked about, you know, allegedly, you know. So by me saying they come back from the same background, you know, most hip-hop, rap artists, we known to come from the streets. You know what I mean? And when we say the streets, not necessarily, oh, we off the streets, but being streetwise, being street smart, knowing what's going on, knowing, you know, how to deal with situations, life and death situations in the street. But times have changed. This is not the 90s no more. You know, this is not the regular 2000s. We in 2020, we in the 21st century. So, you know, some people think of those same mentalities as a part of what's happening and causing the casualties right now.
What is the solution?
You know, I ask myself that all the time, and at the end of the day, I couldn't say that I have a solution, but means towards the solution is always communication. Always communication. Always the ability to talk and, you know, and try to find out what's going on with a person. Now, somebody that's already lost, you can't do nothing about it. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for instance, the King Von situation. His manager repeated over and over, because he was also shot too, and he done an interview. He said he wasn't himself that night. He wasn't himself that night. That's all he kept saying. He wasn't himself that night. So.
And what does that mean?
Well, I guess he wasn't acting how he normally would, because he said King Von was a guy that, you know, he liked how he moved. You know, he said he was one of the best moving artists that he was with, you know, as far as, you know, being alert, being seeing what's going on. But he said this night he wasn't himself. He said he was just quiet, no, you know what I mean, nothing. You know, he wasn't the King Von he was. And, you know.
You being a rapper, what does that mean to you when you hear that terminology?
Yeah, well, I've been there before where, you know, damn, not myself today. So I understand that. So what that means to me is that, you know, most people say go pray, you know, you need to go pray or you need to go meditate. So what that means to me is that, you know, if it's not nobody there that can help you, then you have to reach within yourself to try to be like, you know what, I got to be calm, you know, or if I do this, this can happen. If I do this, this can happen. If I can do this, this can happen. And me personally, I don't understand, you know, why these guys come up out of, you know, the poverty situation, stuff like that, and still do the things that kept them in there. But, you know, it's, yeah, when somebody say you're not yourself, it's just kind of like, you know, okay, if I'm not myself today, that means I need to just chill and take things on a different approach. You know what I mean? And he wasn't himself, but he would do what he would normally do as King Von. And if he gonna fight, he gonna fight. If he gonna shoot, he gonna shoot. And that's what happened. You know, it split 1.5 seconds according to the manager. He jumped out the van and went to the guy that he had the conflict with.
Okay. You, Rasheed, have a son that is of age. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you were to give your son advice with regard to this industry, knowing the destructiveness of this industry and what can happen in this industry, what would you tell your son?
Well, number one, I tell him it's a business. So anything can happen in any business. You know what I mean? I don't care if you're flipping burgers. I don't care what you're doing. Anything can happen. But if you're an artist, okay, advice I would give my son, I tell him it's a business. So stay focused. Stay focused. Don't get caught up into the nonsense. Don't get emotional. We are humans, so we have emotions. You understand what I'm saying? But the thing is, you can't get emotional. You know, me at the age I am, sometimes I get emotional. You know what I mean? Because, you know, we can't help it. But because we're humans. But, you know, you have to learn to control your emotions. You know what I'm saying? You have to learn to think before you act. You know, and those are things I tell my son all the time. You know, and he's one of my most top anxieties. Like, I worry about him every day. You know what I mean? You know, and he just work. He go to work and he, you know, he comes home, he do his thing. And, you know, I worry about him every day. And he don't do nothing wrong. You know, but still, as a young black male, you know, I worry about him. And that's outside of the music industry. You know what I mean? You know, so.
That's another thing that we have to deal with. We're looking at how society basically has placed the burden on us with regard to our black men. We have police brutality, of course.
Yes.
But I think, is there a way, is there something that we can do as a people to say, look, I can't shoot this guy because he looks like me and he's my brother.
Right. Right.
Is that something that you think we'll ever get to, or possibility?
I can't say that I don't think we'll ever get there, but I feel as though it's a long ways coming, because information is distributed a lot of different ways, and sometimes we just don't know the whole story. You know what I mean? You know, sometimes some situations, you know, it's not necessarily about hate to another man. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it could be a situation where, you know, a guy maybe was trying to rob somebody, or, you know, attack his sister or something. You know, you don't know. But all you know is, hey, it's two black people. So I won't say that we won't never get there, but it's a possibility. But in order to get there, you know, people have to, you know, they have to communicate. You know what I mean? They have to communicate. And we are growing in the 21st century. The world is growing at such a fast rate. You know, it's even scary to me. You know what I mean? Like, even as now, time is just going fast. So, you know, it's not a matter of, you know, to me, people looking at a person, at their color. You have to have empathy towards all people, and especially in yourself. You understand what I'm saying? Because, you know, I wouldn't care, you know, if they, you know, what race they are. If it's a situation where I have to protect myself, then I'm gonna protect myself. You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
But you know, at the same time, if it's my, you know, people that look like me, you know, you want to have more empathy towards them. Like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? It's my brother, it's my black brother. But if something is going wrong, what can you do? You understand what I'm saying? So at this point, you know, guys that's rapping, you know, we come from gangs. We come from the hustle era.
Is that what makes it so popular? Because you have this history that you're bringing to the table, and people admire some of the, especially the young ladies, admire the bad boy concept, had it difficult, had it hard. So is that something that automatically goes with the territory?
I would say that, you know, because see, the music has changed over to pop. Like, you know, rap is the biggest influential music out right now. And so you got some rappers that don't rap nothing about gangster stuff or nothing like that. But there are those of us that do. That's where we come from. And so, yes, ma'am, you know, because...
So is this just a matter of telling your story? Are you telling your story through your rap? How do you perceive when you say some of us still do? Okay, is that telling your story? Is that a style?
Well, it's part of telling the story, and it's a part of relating. You know what I mean? You know, you have to relate. You know, who wants to relate to a kid living in the suburbs? Even though at the end of the day, that's the life that we want. You know, we want to have a nice house. You know, be able to have a car, live peacefully. But we don't know that yet. You know what I mean? And so some of these kids, you know, don't rap about that stuff, but it's all about relation, and people want to relate to the toughness. They want to relate to, you know, the realness. You know what I mean? And that's part of the problem. But then you had a guy come out, some young dude came out a while ago. I forgot his name. And I wanted to be a rap song, but it was like, do that, nay, do that. Nice kid. You know what I mean? You know, haven't heard from him since that one hit, but made his money, his millions, and was cool. You know what I mean? You know, but the majority of us...
He got out.
He got out. Yeah, I mean, you know, he'll probably come back. He was a young kid, you know, young like those guys. He had a little dance song. But my point is, you know, it was all positive movement. You know what I mean? Just a dance song, boom, boom. But these guys coming up, they're talking about the guns, they're talking about the drugs, you know, everything.
Is that what's most attractive in the industry now? The guns and the violence or would you say it has taken a turn?
Well, that's always been attractive. Guns, violence, and drugs and money have always been attractive to the entertainment industry for years. Scarface. Everything is, you know, violence and gun. Not everything, but the stuff that people glorify. I mean, even if you go back to the old days of Julius Caesar, the guys used to ride around in the casket. You know, people glorified that stuff. And so it's still going on today. The only difference is us, you know, a lot of people look to us like, you know what I'm saying? You know, like, yeah, they give what is called a stereotype. You know, you look at the average black man, you're going to stereotype him. And, you know, think, yeah, he from the hood, he from the block, blah, blah, blah. You know, and if you open your mouth and you talk and you really, you are what they see, like, dang, he the real deal. You know what I mean? Then, you know, well, what happened?
Then that just really, okay.
You know what I mean?
Really blows it up. Really blows it up.
Boy caught a few bodies. Boy might have just, you know what I mean? Like, oh, damn, like, you know what I mean? You know, regardless of the situation, you know.
So what I want to do at this point, I've heard from you, and I'd like to hear from one of the young up-and-coming artists. And I believe he is here, and Raheem Avail. Is he here for us today? Well, I guess Raheem isn't present, but Raheem is a young up-and-coming artist, and I wanted to hear his views as well. And Rasheed, I've certainly enjoyed listening to what you have to say, and perhaps when we see you again and talk about this issue, maybe the rate will be down somewhat, because it doesn't look like the industry is gonna go anyplace. It seems like it's on the rise.
Right.
Is it just basically among, I know that the rap industry is surrounded by people of all ethnic groups.
Yes.
So, can you explain to me, why is it more so? It appears to be that more of our black men, is it because there are more black men that are rapping, or why are we seeing the violence so among black men?
Well, you made a point. Are there more young black men rapping? Yes. You know what I mean? Because it's an easy industry. It's easy to get into, and a lot of us have the talent. So yeah, there's more of us, and there's more of us. Being born. You know what I mean? So, but it's not only in the black communities though. There are problems in the. I've seen a few, you might not know their names, but there's been a few Caucasian artists that's been killed, a few Hispanic artists, that's been killed, but not so much as our black artists. But it's all around. The industry is all around. But, as far as, us, yes. And now, there's a more, mixture of people. So it's kind of hard to determine, if it's just the Afro-Americans doing it. Because sometimes, people just say a minority. And, it could be between any two ethnic groups, that will cause the demise of, a black person, which make it seem as though, it's all black, you know what I mean? But
how is the relationship between the Hispanic and the African American community with rap?
Well, with the business and the rap business is great for those that are wise, but you have the industry and then you have the streets. The streets is a different thing, which a lot of people bring the streets to the industry, if you understand what I'm saying. And far as the industry, it's great. But when you take it down to the streets, it might be a little different. You understand what I'm saying? And I'm not necessarily saying in a bad way, or in a really bad way, but it's always going to be a problem. It's always going to be a problem. So the industry, people cool. You got Peso, Sauce Walker, me, SPM, you know what I mean? The relationships are good when it comes to the business. But when it comes to the streets,
it's a different story.
It's a different story.
Given the climate that we're in today, with so much division among people, I don't think I've ever witnessed a country being so divided. And I don't, I want it to be about something that will inspire and help others in this entity. So I don't know how you feel, but I want to bring some joy. I want to bring some relaxation to the minds of people.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have something, that you can give us that might enhance how we feel, might motivate us, give us a little bit of inspiration? We all need that in these times. And I respect if you don't feel comfortable, but do you have anything?
At this point, all I can do is say, communicate, you know what I mean? Look within your heart, you know what I'm saying? And, just communicate, you know what I mean?
So I think, what I'm asking you to do, and I don't want to just come right out and ask, but do you have a little rap you can give us a little bit of to possibly lift us up some? This is what we're about. And I know you're an artist. Do you have anything that you can say to us today? And I know that's probably a tough position to be in, but we're in a tough place right now, a tough time.
Yes. Well, a lot of my music, it varies, you know what I mean? Today, with everything that I'm going through, I really, couldn't just do nothing, off the top. But like I said, I just like to just tell people, communicate and, reach within your heart and talk to people. You know what I'm saying? That's best thing I could
reach
tell you.
Within your heart.
Reach within your
Go
heart,
within.
But sometimes we don't have time to do that, But like I said, I don't want to put the buts in there. But there's always light, bro. There's always light, for you. If you wake up today, positive energy. Even if things is going bad for you, just try to be positive because, you got people that care about you. There's people that love you. Even though we in the positions that we in. Reach in your heart, think positive, communicate.
Thank you, Rasheed.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you for having me on the show.
And thank you for joining us. Please look forward to our show next Thursday, 7 o'clock p.m. Thank you.